Hello, viewers and wonderful listeners out there. It's indeed a rewarding experience to be back on this platform with another episode of Single Spine, The Issues. We are live across the country, and so all our regional networks are hooked up to this very program. And this is a collaboration between Fairwages and Salaries Commission and Ghana Broadcasting Corporation. We are here today to continue from where we left off. Good things, they say, will take time to be recognized. And I'm sure just a few people today will say that the single spine pay policy was not a great idea. There are just a few that will say this. It has had its own share of challenges and criticisms. But the policy implementation lives on, and I must use this opportunity to say kudos to the current administration. This has been the dilemma of successive governments to determine and compute equitable levels of compensation to ensure that workers are well motivated enough to enhance productivity. In the past couple of days, one man who has been at the center of controversy in terms of accusations, counter-accusations, is here with me, and he's become a household name. You all know him. He's the Chief Executive of Fairwages and Salaries Commission. He has joined me on this platform today so that we can talk about issues making rounds. And I'm sure you all know what is happening. His name is Mr. George Smith Graham, the Chief Executive Officer of Fairwages and Salaries Commission. He is with me today on this platform. This is going to be an open mic discussion, which means that we're going to take your calls, we're going to take your concerns, we're going to take your suggestions, we're going to take all your questions, and you can also join us on our social media platform. It will be advertised on your screens, and we will also announce the phone lines as we move on. But he's taking his seat and he's here with me. Let me say a big welcome to you, Mr. George Smith Graham. Thank you
very much
for joining us. I'm sure you are a very tired man.
Thank you, and thank you for having me. Yes, it's been a challenging time, but I believe that
you've been all over on the networks, answering questions and providing solutions to the way forward. What is your general perspective on current issues as we speak, as far as salary issues are concerned?
Well, first of all, let me say that in my personal view, and I believe that I speak for the Fairwages and Salaries Commission, we have done fantastically well when it comes to the implementation of the single spine. And that's exactly what we are supposed to do. You notice that the first phase which we are supposed to implement, which is the migrating people from their various salary structures onto the current single spine salary structure, in my view, was supposed to be the most difficult and challenging work. We've almost sailed through that one. We have done 99.7%. You've noticed also that the current agitations that are going on is not about the salary structure. It's not about the grading structure. It's not about their migration onto the single spine, but has now shifted onto the allowances and the premiums and all that. These are the other phases of implementation which we are not there yet. And I believe that based on what we are supposed to do in this first phase of implementation, I believe we've done extremely well.
I have generally listened to a number of stakeholders, those who are directly involved in the current situation as we speak. I'm being careful so that I don't, and it's like it's still not gone down well with them as to the missing chip. So I'm glad you're here. You would help us identify that missing chip. What has really gone wrong, and for which we are experiencing what is currently going on?
For me personally, I believe if anything has gone wrong, then it will be public education. It will be the fact that we've not intensified the education that we are supposed to do. And but most often, those who declare the strike are very well informed. They are very well informed. But the rank and file who normally put pressure on the leadership are those that we should have a program of reaching out to them. Because it appears that there's some misinformation out there. People are not very well informed. And that appears to be the missing link. If we are able to intensify education, strategize very well, and make sure that we design our education in such a way that we reach out to everybody, no matter the corner they are in this country, I believe that we'll get there. And that is why I'm happy that we are having this program, because this program, once it is live on GTV and also live on all your
regional
networks, it means that we are reaching quite a lot of people from all over the country, and that is what we need to do.
Good. I know for a fact that this policy seeks to establish some fairness in the distribution of public sector pay across all organizations, but some believe the policy is still unfair and not equitable enough. Education is still going on, and so how would you address this first point of concern?
I will always disagree with such people. I believe that the policy has been very fair. The policy has been implemented the way we have to implement the policy. What actually is happening is that if you look at it critically, once we are implementing this policy, and as we keep saying, and we have to make sure that we establish equity. In establishing the equity, if there are people who are really were enjoying any benefits of the previous policy that you need to deal with, you need to do it in such a way that the pain will not be as hard as an individual can take. And so you need to have a certain transitional arrangement for these things. It is these transitional arrangements that we try to do with the introduction of the interim premium, which appears to have sent wrong signal out there. It's an interim arrangement to deal with the transitional arrangement of those who were enjoying those salaries. You need to have a transition. Whichever way would have had these difficulties. The major difficulty would have been we saying that we are not going to have this transitional arrangement for them, and that we are going to take those benefits and all those things completely off. If we had done that, we would have had another crisis on our hand. All of them would have resisted the new pay policy. I'm sure they would have even refused to come on the new pay policy. So whichever way you look at it, that is how the other side is that those who feel aggrieved, who feel cheated all along, feels that, oh, once those people are there, whatever it is, you need to also lift us up for us to be like them at the same time.
Does it look like a game that some should feel cheated?
No, I absolutely not.
Okay.
Absolutely not. And I'm prepared to debate any group who feel cheated and why they feel cheated. I am very well prepared to do this, because we've implemented the policy in a way that it has dealt with all the situation. Now what is happening now, once we are moving into the next phase of the policy, as we get to the next phase of the policy, we now deal with it, and now you have the opportunity to deal with the transitional issues that you dealt with the migration onto the salary structure. So these are basically the issues that are going on. And I think we've dealt with those we, as Fairwages and Salaries Commission, realize and have been shortchanged in the course of their migration because of the way the process started. We have gone back and done the correction of the grades. We have sat down with the institution. We have done all the corrections. And I think the institutions themselves will bear testimony to this thing. We engage, we talk. And we are not an institution that closes our door to anybody. We are always open to discussions. People come to us at any time. And we engage to make sure that, because that is what we are required to do anyway. The law establishing us says that we should implement the policy in a fair, transparent, and equitable manner.
Yes.
So we are obliged to be fair. We are obliged to be transparent. Obliged to make sure that the policy is equitable, and we are doing it in a systematic manner.
I think another perception is also got to do with the fact that there's complete absence of grievances mechanisms put in place by Fair Wages and Salaries Commission for people to seek redress. Is that the situation?
No, that is not.
Okay.
As a commission, the grievances we have resolved, I mean, it's far more than what we see in what generally gets out of hand, if I should say so. Several grievances have been resolved. Now, if we are not able to resolve the grievances that borders on the grading structure, the body that has been established, the independent body that was established by the law, the Grievances Review Committee is there. The Grievances Review Committee has dealt with several other issues resulting out of the grading structure. But if it is outside the grading structure, and the people are not happy with what we are doing, then the law provides that they go to the National Labour Commission.
Okay.
When they go to the National Labour Commission, it is not they meaning both the unions and us, because sometimes we also file cases at the National Labour Commission. So we all go to National Labour Commission, file an appeal. They go through the ruling process. If even they give the ruling and we are not happy with the ruling, the law also provides that we even go further to the court of law, court of appeal, and appeal against those cases. We have had instances where Labour Commission has given a ruling that we were not happy. We felt that this ruling by the National Labour Commission, if implemented, the headache that it will give to us and the distortion that it will bring onto the single spine pay policy will be anybody's guess. And we have gone further to go to the Court of Appeal to challenge these rulings. So these are the things, and the procedures are there. It's just that everybody uses the most powerful weapon available to him. And so if they use the most available and most powerful weapon available to him or her, once they use that weapon, the obvious thing they want to see is how you react. Do you react by giving in? If you react by giving in unjustly, you go back and then distort the system again, and you should be sure that it is going to hunt you again, because it will come back in another way, and other groups will also raise, and you need to be given in. So the most important thing for us as an institution will be to be very firm and fair in the things that we are doing. To be resolute and make sure that we don't do anything deliberately to disadvantage any group, and that we are implementing the policy in a very fair and transparent manner. And that is what we believe in, and that is exactly what we are doing. So when the issues come up, and whether they are strikes or whatever, what we need to do is to make sure that we are working within the confines of the policy. Because if we go outside and do anything, then we can be sure, the whole country can be sure, that will come back to hit us.
All right. Let's visit Louisa at Fairwages and Salaries Commission. She was in town to assess people's view on performance levels, I mean, as far as this whole issue is concerned. So, Louisa, take it over from here.
Thank you, Cecil. As you know, today is the open mic edition of the program. So, what is bothering you about the single spine pay policy? We are here today, once again in the streets of Accra, to find from the general public their views, comments, and perception about the single spine pay policy. Hello. What are your views, perception, and comments about the single spine pay policy?
I've heard enough about it, but I'm not a worker for now. I'm a student in a final year. What I've heard people say is that there's not a fair treatment because others get to enjoy more opportunities than other people, especially teachers and doctors. And that's why most of them are on strike now.
Yeah, for me, I think the single spine is good. Yeah, because comparing the previous salaries to current salaries, there's no doubt the salaries have appreciated, and now output is also matching up with the level of salaries. Because usually people are paid meager salaries and they don't really bring out their best. But now that it's gone up, they are trying, they are doing their very best to achieve.
I can say that it's very good. It's helping the youth. It's really helping the nation as a whole.
To begin with, I think the single spine pay policy in its whole is a very good and laudable step by the government, based on the fact that when you compare the income that people get in the public service to that of the private sector, and then the work demand in the public service, I think now there's been increment in salaries, and that is a good motivational factor for those of us in the public service. And then comparatively, if you take other neighboring African countries, for instance, you see that people are getting high salaries for the same work we are doing in our country. So I think it's a very good step and a very bold one for the government of the day. Yeah.
What are your comments about the single spine pay policy?
Okay, thank you very much, Madam Questioner. This is Frank Boafo speaking from Ministry Accra. My view about a single spine salary structure it's a very nice, to me, it's a very nice policy being set by government. And why am I saying it's very good? Because we can see the differences between the old system and then the new system. You can see that nowadays most of the institutions are, and especially most of the students that come from universities and other tertiary institutions are popping up to get, especially the public sector, and it's now lucrative. And there's an ink in terms of the job that we do.
So what are your reasons?
Since my salary is increased, it's a nice one. I'm really enjoying it, and I think everyone is also enjoying it. It's a very good policy. Yeah.
The single spine salary policy has one way or the other come to regularize to certain level the pay policy system in Ghana today. What I think also is that there are other parts of the single spine policy that has to be implemented alongside the salary payment, which is the category 1 and 2 allowances that has to be paid.
So from your view, do you think the policy is about salary increment?
I don't think the policy is wholly about salary increment. I think the brain behind the policy is to get the maximum performance, that is to derive what best the public sector can give out, to make it more competitive with the private sector. So yes, salary increment is one aspect of it, but then motivation, I think, is what government seeks to derive with this pay policy. That means, like, in terms of the increment in salaries, that is obviously going to motivate people to give out their best. Yeah.
I think formally, I think the salary doesn't match up with the inputs. It doesn't match up with inputs. You see, now that the salaries have gone up, now you can see output is really good.
What I can conclude is that the implementation is very good, but there must be a monitoring team whereby the government will go to various ministries, agencies and other sectors to monitor its productivity so that we can achieve the ultimate goal of the country.
This is a program that has to be systematically negotiated so that it doesn't create more problems for the government. Because if it is implemented for one unit or agency and it is not implemented well, another agency will be peeved and call for more allowances of the sort. So in my view, I think it's a good policy, and the government should make efforts to implement it to the latter so that the departments and agencies will not be agitating individually to throw off the good intention that the government has in the single spine policy.
So, here are your views, comments, and perception about the single spine pay policy. Over to you, Cecil.
Thank you very much, Louisa. We are back from town with Louisa after she assessed the views of the general public, some section of the public, about the single spine pay policy. Mr. George Smith Graham is the Chief Executive Officer, Fairwages and Salaries Commission, and he is our guest today. I've already told you that we're solely going to depend on your phone calls. It's an open mic discussion. We're extending this platform to you out there, so you can join us with your questions, with your views. If you really do not understand something, this is the opportunity for you to join us. So we will announce the phone lines as we move along, and then you make your inputs available to us. Mr. Smith Graham. Good. I'm sure you listen to the views. Does he really summarize all that we're talking about, or you think that people are still yet to be educated about the single spine?
I think listening to
yeah.
the interviews, I believe gradually people are beginning to understand, what the policy is about. What it means is that if we intensify public education, we will get there. And I am tempted to agree with some of the comments that were made. I heard somebody saying that it is important that we have a monitoring mechanism in place that monitors to ensure that the productivity is high and that people are really working and not just taking the salary. Somebody also said that the policy should be implemented in such a way that you don't appear to be implementing the policy in favor, implementing something for one group as against the other, because if you do that, everybody will come also at you. And that is what we as Fairwages and Commission have at the back of our mind. It's just unfortunate that the transitional arrangement that we put in place to deal with peculiar situations is creating some of these problems for us. And I think that everybody will need to understand that these are transitional arrangements, transitioning them from their old salary structure onto the single spine salary structure. And we need to have this transitional arrangement to deal with those particular issues. Once we have dealt with them, moving forward, we will all come back, and I'm sure the team that is working on the categories 2 and 3 allowances will do a fantastic job. I have every confidence in the people who are there, both on the side of organized labor and from the side of Fairwages and Sales Commission, and government as a whole. It's a very powerful team, very knowledgeable team, and I'm sure that they will do a good job so that when we get to the negotiation of the allowances, categories 2 and 3 allowances, we'll also have a very smooth process there.
Now, let us narrow it down to an important issue. Lately, I mean, the strike actions on the part of the teachers. We have had that of the doctors, CLOSAG. I mean, does it look like a challenge being thrown to you as an institution? Because I know that the Labour Act is clear about procedures in dealing with labour disagreements, and I also know that a key component in this is got to do with collective agreements, or for that matter, contracts of employment and all that. And I also know that it provides the mechanisms, the way as to how individual parties can go along to address labor disagreements. But it really looks like internal procedures are being ignored. It looks like we are not strictly going by what the law says. And somebody will just watch what's going on to say that, look, I think there is something wrong somewhere. Who is not getting it right?
Thank you very much, Cecil. I think the strike actions can be put into categories. The first category has to do with a certain group, if I can call them the intelligentsia, who feels that the nature of their job is such that if I can borrow that word, if they cough, the whole country catches cold. And so for those groups, they would want to continue using that powerful weapon that they have to ensure that they maintain the superiority that they have in the system. They have always been the beneficiaries of this because of the nature of the job that they do. And when that happens, you notice that very critical institutions playing very critical roles, because when they go on strike, government can ignore them, are always left behind. And when they are left behind, what happens is that they become demotivated, demoralized, and nothing happens in such institutions, although they play very critical roles in the nation's development. So this is what is happening now. So they would want to continue taking that approach and continue holding, should I say, everybody to ransom to ensure they get what they want. Then there's the other group, and basically the other group I can put them into, if I consider those who go on strike. The other group may be the teachers, for instance, and let's say the civil servant. They are those who also feel aggrieved that they have been disadvantaged for a very long time all this year. These same people are those who have been enjoying in the past. Now we are implementing a new pay policy, and in their own view, they think that they are also enjoying again.
Yeah.
And therefore, they would want to also use whatever fund that is, they have to make sure that they also get their pound of flesh. But what is happening is that if you look at the policy, it's not about who fights hard to get his pound of flesh. It's about we working in such a way that we ensure that there's a fairness and the equity. And we are assuring all public servants, and I'm saying this again on air, my integrity as an individual is concerned. The integrity of the institution I'm leading is also very important. And we are assuring everybody out there that as a commission, we will not do anything that will disadvantage any group. And we have not done that now, and we will not do that in the near future.
No, I'm not even, in the case of the teachers, do they have a concern?
The concerns are mixed. The one that borders on what we are doing, Fairwages and Sales Commission, I think that it's just a matter of they being patient with the policy. Because I can say that if care is not taken and we go by that line, we'll end up destroying the very policy that we are implementing. And I'm saying so because there are very genuine concerns along the line. But some will do, like, for instance, the delay in the implementation of the categories 2 and 3 allowances. If there's delay in the implementation, the delay is not only going against them. The delay is for everybody on the single spine salary
structure.
So
why would they take a decision like this?
That is the point. Because everybody on the single spine has not enjoyed the categories 2 and 3 allowances based on the single spine pay policy. Nobody is enjoying any categories 2 and 3 allowances.
So why are they demanding it now?
I have no idea. And that is why I feel that we all need to be patient to ensure that the team that is working on the categories 2 and 3 allowances will work very fast so we can now go ahead and do the negotiation. There are other issues like the annual increments, which that is not an issue now. It is an issue we all took a decision to complete the implementation of the single spine, migration of people onto the single spine before we do that. But the same body has taken a decision about 3 weeks ago, Public Services Joint and Negotiation Committee, that we go ahead and implement. And we are already with Control and Accountant General Department, and everybody is aware we are working on them. But there are certain other issues that become very difficult for, like their maintenance allowance that they are talking about. These are very genuine cases. It is not as if they are demanding an increase in the maintenance allowance. That's not what they are doing. They are demanding
what is due.
They are demanding the old rate. The old rate, they have something they are supposed to enjoy, and they are saying that that has not been paid. If it has not been paid, why has it not been paid? Is it that there are certain challenges? And you know, normally when it comes to these issues, it's the management of it, which is very critical. And when you have a mass group like teachers scattered all over the country, and you are a management of an institution that is dealing with them, you will find it very, very tough. Let's assume that I give a teacher car maintenance allowance, and the teacher is, say, in some remote area. Once you give the approval and you start paying the person, that is the end. There is no mechanism to monitor to see whether that vehicle has even been transferred into taxi, or the vehicle has been sold and the person is still taking the allowance, or the vehicle has broken down and the person is not using it. It becomes difficult to monitor. And so some of these things, I see them to be the challenges that management of Ghana Education Service, for instance, will also have. Because if you are not careful, you'll just be paying the money to people. So, but I believe that we should be able to put in place certain mechanism, probably empower the headmasters, because they are the people who
okay, you hold on. I've just been informed that the lines are buzzing already. And so if you also want to join us, this is an open mic discussion. You can do that. 0302-770-111, 0302-770-222 are the lines to call. You can also rely heavily on our social media platforms. Send your messages. You can also tweet us. You can also... Samuel from Takwa, I'm told, is on the line. Samuel, hello.
Yeah.
Samuel.
Yes, sir. Yeah, I still don't understand this whole issue about the single spine pay policy. I think I still need some more education on it, and I'm sure other people too still want to, get more education on it. And I also want to ask when you have teachers on board so that we can also throw some questions to them and then find out certain things concerning some of the strikes that they go.
Okay, so this is all you want to know about?
Yeah.
All right, okay. Let's move on. Would you want to address that? He still thinks that he needs...
I think that he's right.
Yeah.
We need to intensify
Exactly,
education and make sure that people understand the policy.
Yeah.
And he has a valid point. He asks when will teachers come on board.
Exactly.
Teachers have been on board anyway before this very program, because the NAT General Secretary has been here, the conditions of service man has been here, they've all been here. But if they are looking for probably maybe we having an ordinary, I won't say ordinary, maybe a teacher in the classroom who is not part of the executive coming on the program, I think that can be arranged.
Okay.
The person can come with any of the Fairwages and Sales Commission employees, and then we can look at the issues and address them.
Now, entangled in all these debates, it's another issue which has got to do with the premium, and I've heard this on a number of platforms, in addition to the allowances being paid. Let me go to the... I'm told Sam from Enchi is on the line. I will come back to my question. Sam, hello.
Hello. Good evening, sir.
Yeah, Sam, let's hear you.
Yeah. Good evening.
Good evening.
I've been following the discussion.
Okay.
But my problem is, I am an internal auditor, and the spine has put us at a disadvantage. And there's something on my payslip, I see something they say conventional allowance, which has actually made my salary worse off. So I want to get more clarification on that.
Okay. Thank you very much. Sam from Enchi, he's an internal auditor, and he thinks he's been disadvantaged as a result of this policy.
Internal auditor in which organization?
Well, he did not
conversion, if he has conversion allowance on his pay slip, what it means is that when we migrated him onto the single spine, his current salary was higher than what he was supposed to take on the single spine. And that is why, in order not to make him too worse off, we decided to pay the difference to him as conversion allowance. So that is the reason for the conversion allowance on his pay slip.
Okay. All right. Now, let me go back to my point. I was talking about the fact that I've heard entangled in all these issues got to do with market premium. People are still talking about it as this whole issue started with the teachers. And I know for a fact that you will have to wait for a cabinet response, as it were, to go ahead as far as payments are concerned. What kind of labor survey have you done for us to know the skills in short supply? For instance, if we have fewer neurosurgeons in the country, I know that they might get attracted into other well-established economies, and that's the reason why maybe this administration will say that in order for us to retain them, we would want to raise or give them some premium so that we keep them, we maintain them. We first have to find out how much they will take from wherever they will be attracted to, and then we see how we can draw the balance. In the case of teachers, is that the situation as we speak?
Thank you very much. See, there's a big misconception out there. We have not implemented market premium at all. What we have done is what I explained earlier on, the transitional arrangement in dealing with the situation with the health sector and the tertiary sector.
I think this is important, but you will address that. I've just been informed that Kontomri from Konongo is on the line with us. Hello, Kontomri.
Yes, sir.
Are you sure you're called Kontomri?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay, let's hear you.
But your teachers know program. Hello.
Yet you, dear Kosu.
I'm saying, who call private schools now? Oh, child, your farm, but I buy school and the old you child to be as well as in Mako. Means I'm going to me, yes, my old child, man, I say, Chum Kabus, and you can problem there. You must feel, oh, you won't child yet. See, is it free? Never quite see 20 1. So, who's to see her? And too much into child, you won't take Polana, and they won't trade. You may also be out with Polano Bawa, and you're buying so when you take a camera.
Okay. Well, my little understanding is got to do. He attempted to compare the private schools and then the public schools, and the fact that the teachers in the public schools do well to teach, but I guess they are not well motivated.
He's rather saying that those in the public schools are not doing very well in their teaching, and therefore they need to teach well. Because the private school teachers are doing better and they are not doing well, so they think that they need to their output should be improved so that government will also take care of them. That's what he's trying to say.
Okay. Now let's get back to our point that you were.
So like I'm saying, we've not implemented a market premium.
So why are people talking about it, and why are people still demanding that they are paid some special premiums?
You see, the interim arrangement that we did, we've had questions like, why did you even call it a premium, as an interim premium? Cecil, if we had called it any other name, the single spine would have ended by now. Because that would have meant that you've introduced new allowances into the system. Meanwhile, you are talking about categories 2 and 3 allowances being worked on. So if we had called it an allowance, any other allowance, I am very sure every single institution would have thought that we are deliberately giving allowances to some people and not giving them the allowance. And I am sure the pressure on us would have been worse than we are experiencing now. We called it an interim premium for the simple reason that it is indeed a premium. Once there's a shortage of skill on the market, like you take the health sector, the shortage of skill eventually leads into certain extra work that the people do because they are not there. Assuming you have enough, everybody can do the 40 hours and go. But because they are not there, that is why you have the shortage. Because the shortage is there, that's why you have. So the extra hour that was used in doing the calculation into their HSS salary and other factors was a premium. And that's why we called it an interim premium. Interim because it is transitional. So that once the guidelines that is coming from cabinet comes out and states clearly what it's supposed to be, then we transition them from the interim to the actual premium. That is if they deserve a premium. And you stated a point clearly. If we are implementing a market premium, I'm not sure anybody can tell me that just by the fact that somebody is a senior medical officer will get a same market premium as a specialist. And even as a consultant. And even so that is what should tell people that we are not implementing a premium. Because it's a general senior medical officer, practitioner, scarce, as scarce as, let's say, a neurosurgeon or a urologist.
Or an aeronautic engineer.
Exactly. That is the point. But because it's a transitional arrangement, that is why we did it the way we did it. So we have not done that. And just as you mentioned, the market survey will be the most critical thing that we will need to do. The market survey basically will look at the market in Ghana. Because you are looking at the market. It's a demand and supply issue. So you are looking at the market in Ghana to say, that, okay, these are the skills that I have. Government can come out clearly and say that, in my view, these are my priority areas. And this can be done if we have a national development plan. And the National Development Planning Commission has a document. So they will also play a very important role. Based on where we want to go as a nation, these are our priority areas. Now, if the government comes out with the priority areas that they have, we take those priority areas and now we go to the market and look at the skills in the market. How much is the private sector or other international organizations paying those people? And when you do that, you notice that you see a certain gap. And so you try to make sure you bridge the gap just to attract the person to work for you. Because there is more job security in the public sector than in the private sector. So once you're able to bridge that and the person has the job security and the sort of training and development he gets in the public sector to it, then you can have a certain advantage over the
So a point we need to underline is that market premium is not permanent and it will not cut across.
It will not.
As people
it will not.
It will.
We can let me give just a typical example. If by any reason we decide as a country today that we are going to have bring doctors from anywhere. Let's say 5,000 doctors even into the system. Immediately you bring them into the system, it will change the status.
Exactly.
You look at the other fields, and for instance, if you take, let's say the nurses, because we allow the private institutions to come in, you will notice that now there are a lot of private institutions that are bringing out these nurses.
Yeah.
So eventually the country begins to have the required number
of nurses
exactly that it needs. And it's the same way. So what we need to do as a country is to ensure that we have a plan that will make sure that we deal with some of these shortages.
Okay.
But a market survey definitely will have to be done, and that's what will determine
All right. Let's go for a break. When we come back, I will go through some of the messages we have received via Facebook and all that, which we have available with me. But make your questions available. You will still join us. We will give you the opportunity as we look at the single spine pay policy. I will be back after this break. Good. Thank you so much. We are back. This is your favorite program, Single Spine, The Issues, and it is live on GBC television, the pulse of the nation. We are also transmitting live across all our regional networks, and so we give you this opportunity. Now, I'm told we have a call from Kumasi. Hello?
Yes, hello. Good evening.
Yes. Tell us your name.
Yes. Yes, my name is Henry.
Osei from Kumasi. Let's hear you.
Yeah, I'm Cecil.
Yeah.
In fact, I want to start by saying that the whole idea of the Fairwages Commission and the single spine concept has been a complete fiasco.
Speak up a bit for us. I can hardly hear you.
Yes, yes, sir. Well, what I'm saying is that, sir, I get the impression that the whole idea of the single spine salary and the Fairwages Commission has been a complete fiasco. Why am I saying that? Now, how can you think of not factoring in yearly increment, knowing that the economy that we live in, yearly the inflation goes up. No, we're talking about single-digit inflation, but in actual fact, the inflation is about when you go to market, it's not like that. Things have jumped more than 100%. So how can you just have a system and you not factor in yearly increment, knowing that yearly things are increasing? You have increased petrol prices, you have increased the price of gases, and everything is going up. And you are saying that we did not factor in the idea of yearly increment, and you are now discussing it, knowing that the economy is listening, everything is going up, and prices of petrol, gas, and everything is going up. How can you have a system like that? And you are saying that you are now thinking of factoring in the step, the level, in the case you have the level. And so when the level goes up, it's automatic. So when it goes up, it attracts an increment. You understand? And you didn't factor in that. And so we should step down for you to finish factoring all these things before you have increment. Well, things are just skyrocketing. How can you have a system like that? You understand? And for him, as he's sitting down there, with all respect, I know that his salary and allowances, it goes up as the system is going. So how can we, the teachers, we are just sitting down because we are not respected in the system, and we are saying that we do not factor in the yearly increment. We are not going to think of the yearly increment, and the current allowance is not coming. Yes, people are saying that we are receiving it.
Okay.
We are not receiving anything, and the allowance, everything. It's so annoying.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, so.
Thank you. Mr. Graham, how would you address a concern like that? He's a worried person and he thinks that this whole business is a fiasco.
I understand his frustration, and let me say that the policy has not disadvantaged the teacher, and the policy will not disadvantage the teacher. I think he's getting something wrong. The annual increment is not because of inflation. The annual increment is supposed to be based on somebody who has worked. And having worked well, satisfactory, you get a certain increase in your...
So it's equal
exactly.
pay,
The inflation he's talking about is always dealt with when we go for negotiations in the base pay.
Exactly.
The negotiations we do every year in the base pay, and he will attest to the fact that every year we've had negotiations on the base pay. So that negotiation that we have on the base pay factors the inflation into it. We normally use inflation in doing the calculation when we are doing the national daily minimum wage. You've noticed that the base pay on the single spine is always higher than the national daily minimum wage. So when it comes to the public sector, we have made sure that we've done it in such a way that there's always slight increase above the national daily minimum wage. That is what we use in dealing with the inflation. You don't use the annual increment to deal with the inflation issues. And I think that he needs to get that point very clearly, because that one is supposed to be somebody who has performed. Now we are going ahead to do it because the stakeholders feel that let's do it now, and that if even when the person gets to the maximum and the person cannot move any longer, we leave the person there until the person gets promotion. When we get to that stage, that person will also be there. Year and year, the person will be there. But because the person has not been promoted, he will not get any annual increment. So it's the same thing. It's not as if the annual increment is what is being used to deal with a promotion or inflationary issues. So I think he needs to get that right.
Very clear.
This year, we are likely to negotiate base pay. When we negotiate the base pay, that is what will take care of the inflation issue that he's talking about.
I know this is a model you have adopted to address procedural issues, and is a joint standing negotiations model. What exactly goes into that?
We have a Public Services Joint Standing Negotiation Committee made up of representatives of all the unions and associations in the country. And when we meet, it's a whole conference on its own.
I see.
So they are on one side, then Government of Ghana, led by the Fairwages and Sales Commission, is also on the other side, with the Minister of Finance, Minister of Employment and Social Welfare supporting us. Now what happens is that anything that we need to do on the single spine pay policy is sent to that body. The body discusses it, and after discussing it, we take a decision. So a joint decision is taken there, which will be binding on everybody. So we don't have the individual negotiation that we need to have with the unions.
Is that the best model we can adapt to address?
Oh, it's the most fantastic thing that we have done. And I think that I remember when I went to Kenya, the Kenyan unions were amazed that we have such a thing in Ghana. And they were saying that the absence of that in their country is what sometimes creates that problem for them. I can say that if not because of the Public Services Joint Standing Negotiation Committee, you would have imagined what would have happened, because you'll be holding different negotiations with different groups and
with different interests.
Exactly. Now some of the strikes we have, you will notice that the issues are even being handled by the group. But some of the unions will go out of their way and go and still declare the strike. The body itself, the Public Services Joint Standing Negotiation Committee, especially organized labor side, will not necessarily normally come in and criticize one of their own. And that is what normally happens, because they are a union, they are a body. So they will not come out to criticize one of their own. And so normally when the thing happens, an impression is created as if, oh, Fairwages is being very unfair. But I believe that if that body is coming out to explain situations, that is from the organized labor side, people will realize that this is what we are going through, and this is the processes we are going through. And it's not as if Fairwages is being unfair to any group.
All right. I'm told we have a call from the Volta region, from Hohoi specifically, from Mauli. Mauli, hello.
Yeah, I'm listening.
Yes, Mauli, speak on.
Yes, sir.
Mauli, we're listening to you. Go ahead.
Yeah, we're talking about the teachers. What the man in charge of Fairwages salary. He was like talking about the teachers' allowance, car allowance, maintenance allowance, and something. The teacher will turn into tax and something. We want to contribute to that.
Okay, all right.
Hello?
Yes, Mauli.
Yeah.
I understand your position. It has got to do with monitoring mechanisms which should be put in place. And if you heard Mr. Spin Graham very clearly, he touched on the fact that if headmasters could also cooperate on that point, then we can all have the system running very smoothly. But let me move on. I have a few of them. They are in fact, they are a lot, but I'll pick two.
Let me quickly address this issue. I never said that teachers convert their cars into taxis. It's an example that I gave, assuming somebody has been given the maintenance allowance and decides to convert it into a tax. And it happens not only...
Or even decide not to buy.
Or decide, exactly. It can happen in any organization. So it's the monitoring mechanism and the fact that the teachers are spread all over the country. That is what will give the management of the Ghana Education Service the headache of ensuring the best. And that's why I said that if we allow maybe headmasters to be doing some of these monitoring. I'm sure that it can facilitate
smoothing the system. Okay. Samuel Hodo Mensah says that I want to know the fate of Ghanaian trained optometrists. Our market premium, I think, should be reviewed. After 6 years of intensive training as eye specialists, we are rated the same as 4 years trained professionals. Thanks. How would you deal with this?
The optometrist issue is a very dicey issue, and let the government white paper on the or guidelines on the market premium comes and we'll see how it, because it's a very dicey issue. I have refrained from getting involved in this discussion because I don't normally want my personal views to be taken into this thing. But it's a very, very dicey issue, and I think that I will let assure Maoli that he should be patient. I'm sure the policy eventually will address all these issues.
And let me also assure our viewers and our listeners that we will carefully address all their concerns via the same processes they send to us. If it's through Facebook, text messages, we will respond to all your questions and suggestions. That will be done. A final one, I just received a text message whether what will be done to the teachers for staying away from the classroom.
That is the responsibility of the employer. That is the government of Ghana.
Okay.
So I will not comment on it.
All right, okay. Thank you very much. It's been wonderful having you on this platform today, Mr. George Smith-Graham, Chief Executive Officer, Fairwages and Salaries Commission. And we're also saying thanks to all of you. But keep watching, keep listening to radio. We will be back same time next Saturday on GTV. My name is Cecil Ni Obodai Wintum. Let's work very hard. That's the only way we can drive this nation forward, and it's all about productivity, so we have a role to play. Thank you, and thanks to all our technical men, production crew. I say kudos to all of you.